July 9th,
2024. Euros semi-final. Spain versus France. The score is tied. 80,000 fans on the edge of their seats. Then, a 16-year-old picks up the ball outside the box. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't look nervous. He just curls it right into the top corner. The stadium erupts. With that single moment, Lamine Yamal broke a record that had stood for 66 years, becoming the youngest goal scorer in men's major tournament history, beating Pelé. He turned 17 the very next day. But here's what nobody talks about. That goal wasn't luck. That wasn't just talent. That was the product of a mindset forged through sacrifice, poverty, and relentless belief. Today, we're breaking it all down. The GOAT mindset of football's greatest prodigy. Imagine being born in a shelter for young parents. Your grandmother sneaked onto a bus with no money, no plan, just a dream. Your mother left for work at 6 a.m. before you even woke up. Now, you're the most exciting footballer on the planet. This is Lamine Yamal. What does it take to break a record that stood for 66 years? Not just talent, not just hard work, something deeper, something most people never develop. Today, we're breaking down the GOAT mindset of the most dangerous teenager football has ever seen. If you don't know Lamine Yamal yet, let me tell you this. In 10 years, you'll be telling people you watched him when he was just getting started. Born July 13th, 2007, in Esplugues de Llobregat, a suburb of Barcelona, Yamal grew up in a neighborhood where nobody handed you anything. His mother Sheila was from Guinea, his father Munir from Morocco. Two immigrant families, two different countries, one shared dream: build something better. And they did, but not easily. At just 9 years old, Lamine was selected to join La Masia, Barcelona's legendary academy, the same place that produced Xavi, Iniesta, and a young Lionel Messi. At 15 years and 290 days, he made his first team debut, one of the youngest players ever to wear the Barca jersey. But before we talk about the records, we need to talk about where he came from, because that's where the real GOAT mindset begins. Here's something most people don't know about Lamine Yamal. He grew up in a shelter for young parents. His mother was 21 when he was born. The family lived wherever they could, borrowing rooms from friends, moving between Granollers, Mataró, and Barcelona. His grandmother, on his father's side, had traveled from Morocco alone. No money, no plan. She sneaked onto a bus, stopped in Algeciras and Granada, and eventually made it to Mataró. Then she worked morning, afternoon, and night shifts, just to save enough money to bring her son over from Morocco. Let that land. That is the foundation Lamine Yamal stands on. His mother's side? Same story. His maternal grandmother came from Guinea with almost nothing. Lamine once said, "We always lived in the typical way. A friend would lend us a room, and that's where we stayed. No entitlement, no shortcuts, just people who fought for every inch." And here's the mindset lesson. This applies directly to your business and your life. Resilience isn't built in comfort. It's built in constraint. The greatest entrepreneurs in history, from Oprah Winfrey to the early Elon Musk, have stories rooted in adversity, not because suffering is a prerequisite for success, but because when you know what it means to have nothing, you develop a hunger that people who have everything will never understand. Yamal didn't choose his origins, but those origins gave him something no academy could teach: an unshakable foundation. Ask yourself, what obstacles in your story are you treating as weaknesses? that are actually your greatest strengths. When Lamine joined La Masia at 9, he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the strongest. But Barcelona's scouts saw something that numbers couldn't measure: the ability to play without fear. La Masia's philosophy isn't just about football, it's about developing human beings. You practice the fundamentals, you master the basics, you trust the system. And Yamal trusted it completely. By 15, he was already training with first-team players, older, bigger, more experienced. And he didn't shrink, he competed. His former youth coaches described him as someone who never needed external validation. He wasn't playing for applause, he was playing because he loved the game. GOAT principle number 2. The process is the shortcut. In a world obsessed with overnight success, viral moments, 10x strategies, growth hacks, the real winners are the ones who fall in love with the daily work. Kobe Bryant didn't become Kobe by accident. He was the first one in the gym and the last one to leave for 20 years. Ronaldo doesn't just train harder, he trains smarter. He studies himself. He optimizes every detail. And Yamal? Even at 17, his attention to detail in training has been described by teammates as obsessive. Not destructive obsession, the kind that says, "I refuse to leave this to chance." What process are you trusting right now? What are you falling in love with, even when nobody's watching? Here's where Yamal separates himself from every other prodigy in modern football. Most young players, when they step onto the big stage, they freeze. The pressure, the expectations, the millions of eyes watching every move. Not Yamal. He once said, "I don't try to think about it too much. I just enjoy myself and help the team." Write that on your wall, seriously, because that's elite-level emotional regulation. What psychologists call a process focus instead of an outcome focus. When you're focused on outcomes, the goal, the win, the deal, the numbers, you tense up. Your creativity dies. Your risk tolerance drops to 0. But when you're focused on the process, staying present, making the right move, enjoying the game, you play with freedom. And free players are dangerous players. At Euro 2024, while the world watched and the pressure was at an all-time high, Yamal was the calmest person on the pitch. He dribbled past defenders like they were standing still. He attempted combinations nobody else would dare try. He played like a 16-year-old on a Sunday afternoon, not because he was reckless, but because he was free. Free players are dangerous. Free entrepreneurs are unstoppable. The moment you stop playing to avoid losing and start playing to win, everything changes. Your creativity expands. Your decisions become bolder. Your ceiling breaks. What would you attempt in your business right now if you truly weren't afraid of failing? Here's the final piece of the Yamal mindset formula, and it might be the most important. After scoring that record-breaking goal against France, after winning the Euros with Spain, after becoming the most talked-about teenager in football history, he didn't change. Teammates describe him as untouched by fame. He still shows up early, he still listens to coaches, he still celebrates his teammates' goals like they scored the winner. Despite being worth hundreds of millions of euros, despite every major sports magazine in the world wanting his face on the cover, despite having Barcelona's next decade literally on his shoulders. He stays hungry, he stays humble, and this is the paradox of true champions. The more they achieve, the hungrier they get. Because for Yamal, the Euros wasn't the destination, it was the proof of concept. Now he wants the Champions League, the Ballon d'Or, the World Cup, the legacy. Champions don't celebrate at the summit. They look up and ask, what's next? That hunger, that exact hunger, is what separates people who have one good year from people who build empires.
In your business,
Don't stop when things go well. Don't celebrate too long. Absorb the win, extract the lesson, and keep moving. Stay hungry, stay humble. So let's bring this together. 4 mindset principles from Lamine Yamal. 4 principles you can apply starting today. Principle 1. Roots. Build resilience. Your background isn't a liability, it's your superpower. Use it. Principle 2. The process is the shortcut. Fall in love with the daily work. The results will follow. Principle 3. Play with freedom. Stop playing not to lose. Start playing to win. Principle 4. Stay hungry, stay humble. Let success fuel your hunger, not your comfort. Whether you're building a business, developing a skill, or just trying to level up your life, these aren't just football lessons. These are GOAT lessons. From one of the most extraordinary young athletes the world has ever seen.
and if you want to go deeper on
All 10 of these principles, I've put together a full breakdown in my ebook, The GOAT Formula. 10 mindset principles from the world's greatest athletes, applied directly to business and life. The link is in the description. Go check it out. Yamal is just getting started, and honestly, so are you. Drop a comment below. Which of these 4 principles hits hardest for you right now? I read every single one. And if you want more breakdowns like this, the mindset behind the world's greatest athletes applied to your success, hit subscribe. New video every week. I'll see you in the next one.